10 signs that the real estate and the economy bubble is already busting, and here's how you can profit. Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo, and in this lesson I'm going to show you facts that the bubble for real estate is already here, and it usually takes a while for us to see the effects. What do I mean? The economy is kind of like your health. If you catch a virus or you catch a fungus, it takes time for it to incubate before your body feels the illness. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 10 different ideas why the bubble is already busting, okay? The recession is already here. But more importantly, it's not doom and gloom. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make a lot of money when the crash comes, and what to do now to prepare for it. So stay tuned and let's get started, guys. So the very first reason that I want you to know that the real estate bubble is already busting is because the power of petrodollar is being dethroned. Now, for many of you guys that have been following me on YouTube, you know I've been talking about petrodollars, but for some of you, let me explain what the petrodollars is in a short term. The petrodollar is that our U.S. money, U.S. dollar, is not backed by gold. It's not backed by gold. It's fiat. Therefore, has no value. It's the people that give it value. And so what we did is we went to OPEC, which is basically the oil-producing countries in the Middle East, and did some kind of bargaining, right, in exchange, bribery, or whatever you want to call it, to get OPEC, especially Saudi Arabia, the gang leader, to accept only U.S. dollars to settle for oil. So what does that mean? Every country in the world, doesn't matter if you're in Asia, you're in Iran, you're in Pakistan, every country needs oil. And majority of the countries use, OPEC to buy their gas and oils. And if any country wants to buy any oil or gas, they have to use the U.S. dollars. They can't use gold or bitcoins or, their own currency. Therefore, it has allowed the U.S. to have the world currency, which allows us to have massive power by printing fake money through our Federal Reserve System. So what that means is, because we're the world currency and all the other currencies are pegged by us, it has given us significant power, and that's why we're so powerful, and we all live in comfort, okay? So much compared to other countries. Now, the bad news is that China, Russia, Iran, they are, because of sanctions, okay, are trying to outmaneuver this petrodollar, okay? And I want to show you some facts that big organizations are reporting all over the world that this is already happening. Now, why is this important? Because a couple of things. Number one, if you look at 1 ounce of gold in America, it has the same exact value, 1 ounce of gold in China or 1 ounce of gold in Iran. Okay. However, if you look at $1 of America, let's say, versus $1 of India, which is rupees, the $1 here will equal $50, if not $52 of their $1, okay, which is in rupees. So see the power difference, that $1 here has so much conversion power to a different country purchasing power, because the $1 here, if you go to India, that'll convert to 50, 54 rupees, depends, because it changes all the time, but it's 50 times more powerful, which is a lot, okay? But with gold, it's not like that, okay? 1 ounce of gold is exactly the same price of ounce of gold in a different country. Now, China is trying to dethrone in Russia this monopoly of money, because our money is based by nothing, and the Federal Reserve prints it freely which causes a lot of problems like depressions and recessions and inflations, which I'll get into in a second. But I just want to show you some of the proof, guys, that you can take a look at. If you just do a search yourself, you can see all these different companies like NBC, different people around the world talking about China move on the new world order, will buy old with gold. Now, here's what China's doing is that they're trying to dethrone the petrodollars by creating their own, let's say, metrics that people can buy oil from them, okay, using their currency, which is yuan, if I'm pronouncing it right, and then end of the day, they could change their yuan and get gold for it. Because every part of the world, we all value gold, okay? Where America, we don't have our money backed by gold. So China is creating their own infrastructure, let's say in metrics, so other countries can bypass America to buy gas and oil, and then they have to use the China money, but then they could exchange the China money for gold money, which is universally known. Because if you're in Russia, you don't want China money. If you're in Iran, you don't want China money. You want your own money. But gold is universally known any country in the world. If you're in China, Europe, they're all one gold. They all know what gold is. 1 ounce of gold in Iran is exactly the same in France, exactly the same in Europe, exactly the same in India, the whole world, guys, okay? Now, let's go read a couple of these articles. You can see that this from the Asian newspaper says China's aims for dollar-free oil trade. Okay, you can read about that yourself. Okay, let's look at another one. CNBC, China has grand ambition to dethrone the dollar. It may make a power move this year, okay? But it's already has done that. But also, I want you to notice that as we read these titles, that you have to really understand that these big corporations, like I get into the Federal Reserve, newspapers, how they use words. They have big ambition. They want to dethrone. I think, all these countries are just tired of getting into debt, and you'll see, and they just want, a fair level of exchange where people are not getting more in debt. So, but just look at the different words, because, all these big companies are all basically owned by the same, but they're giving it to you, but not real good. So let's keep going, okay? We looked at that. So here's another NBC. You can see that China is trying to, convince the Saudi Arabia, which is the king leader of OPEC, to unite with them one way or another. And this can be a major impact. Now, if the petrodollars is dethroned, what does that mean for you? Well, means the economy is going to be in big trouble. We're not going to be able to have this luxury life where we have our car we don't own, we have houses we don't own, we have school education we don't own, we have vacations we haven't paid for, we have all this shit we're still making payments. So those good old lives will be over, okay? As we know it in that sense. But if you guys have been following me where I say fuck the stinky bankers, it's going to be a great shift for us, because a lot of people that have money are going to lose their money, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make a lot of money when the crash comes. Because when the crash comes, it's a great opportunity, not for the majority of people, but for some of us, okay? So one of the major signs of the economy already is in heading towards recession is that the petrodollar king being crashed, okay? Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the U.S. debt, because debt is so high right now, okay? Not only consumer debt, but also governmental country debt, okay? Now, why is that important? I'll explain that in a second. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Federal Reserve, guys. The Federal Reserve of New York, again, look at their headings, and they all soften what's really happening. Okay, so the total debt increase driven by mortgage, auto, and credit card debt. Okay, this is 2017. Okay, so the Federal Reserve, they're not going to say everyone's in debt, blah blah, because their idea is to paint picture that benefits them printing fake money where me and you have to work, but they pull out money on a paper machine, okay? So they're not going to say the economy's crashing, guys. And they didn't say that in the last crash when 2007 fourth quarter, okay? So let's now look at another Federal Reserve, okay? Says house debt modestly growing, guys, growing modestly. Basically, what they need to say is the house debt is growing massively, but they look at the word they use, like modestly, okay? So this is just happening again, okay? Now, what I want to look at is some more. The market watch, okay? Since America's now having the highest credit card debt in history, guys, okay? Just recently published, okay? This year, 2007, okay? Household collective debt over $1 trillion. So what does this mean? That the consumer is heavily in debt, okay? Now, this is a very important chart. I want to show you this one, okay? Let's see what the consumer is saying. That this is from the Federal Reserve of New York, guys. These are the guys that print the money. These are the 1%. These are that are our slave masters. According to their statistics, let's look at where everyone is in debt, okay? And see, the very first thing is mortgage loans, guys. And this is why it's a great opportunity for you and me, or actually for me, unless you're watching my channel and you're, learning and taking action, is that when the next crash comes, you see how many people are in debt here? They're going to be very motivated because they have so much other debt here, guys. You can see, okay, you got other household debt, you got educational debt, car loan debt, credit card debt, revolving debt, like people that own their house free and clear, but they got a home equity loan or Halo loan or etc., guys. So as you notice, this is the big debt. This other debt, when the crash comes, has nothing to do with me, right? But this is going to be the big chunk. Many of these people are going to be very motivated. And I'll talk about why they're going to be motivated in the next point. But they're going to be very motivated, and they're going to be willing to do creative financing. They're willing to do owner financing. They're willing to just take over their payments. They're willing to sell their home at a discount, whatever the situation may be, because of their lost their jobs, etc. And we'll get to that in a second, guys. Okay. Now this is from the consumer. Okay. Now what I want to do is, before I jump into the government, I want to talk about the student debt, guys. And I just want you to see this, guys. The student debt is just steadily climbing, okay? The only other thing that I see climbing straight like this is Bitcoins, guys. Okay, but look at this. This is student loan debt is one of the most toxic debt out there. You can't even get a discharge in a bankruptcy, guys, okay? So just constantly growing. The central banking system is just enslaving people left and right. Before they get out of college, they're in debt. Thousands of dollars, okay? So that's that. Now, what I want to now talk about is very important, because we just talked about the consumer debt. Now I want to talk about the government debt, okay? Not only America, but all these other countries that are pegged by the world currency, which is the petrodollars, which is us, okay? So we have all these other countries like Germany, like all the Europes, okay? Even though they have their own form of currency, is pegged. It's kind of like sitting on top of something, okay? It's kind of like a domain name versus an IP address. One is sitting on top of the other. The domain name is sitting on top of the IP, but it's still this. The thing is the IP address, okay? For some of you guys that know IT, okay? So before I show you the nations, I want to show you where the U.S. government owes this money. Where is all this money to, okay? So the very first, the big chunk is, as you can see, individuals and institutions. So the U.S. government owns a lot of money to the people. Like, how do they owe the money to the people? Like, they have unsecured liabilities like Social Security and Medicare and pensions for Congress and all that other crap, okay? So you can see that this chart here, that not only are we in debt, but we're in debt to a bunch of different countries, Brazil, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, the military, so on and so on. Okay, now what gets really interesting is that let's take a look at this. This is all the countries that are massively in debt. I guess this thing chopped up. You know, we have America to be at the very top. We have Great Britain be in the very, very top. We have France. We have Germany. We have Netherlands, Italy, Spain, Canada. So these countries are very, and the thing messed up here. But what I wanted to show you is that I'll show you in this next chapter. But on here, what I want to show you is that all these major countries, you know, these not third world countries, but more evolved countries like America, France, Germany, they're all pegged by the US dollars. So that means that if any one of these countries has any kind of financial problem, it can leap over and mess up the US economy, because it's all tied to one. So kind of imagine we have this thing that goes like this. This is the U.S. petrodollars. And then from there, we have all these different countries pegged to it like left and right. Just kind of like, if you guys can see. So let me do this again. It's probably not working, okay? So let me go to the next icon, because it's very, very important. This is very, very important, guys, okay? And this is what I want to show you, because, you know, you don't even really hear this stuff. Now, what we're looking at is the debt of percentage of the GDP, okay? Which means that America, our debt is this much compared to what we take in, okay? So we're basically getting in debt 92% of the time. So if we're producing 10, then we're getting 97%. We have to borrow 97 to produce 10, okay, or produce, I'm sorry, 7, okay. Now look at China, okay. See, their debt is 19% to what they're producing. We're consuming 93% and only producing 7%, okay. Now look at Japan, and Japan is in big trouble, guys, okay. But look at Germany. Germany's in big trouble. France is in big trouble. Great Britain's big trouble. Italy, guys, big trouble, guys, okay. Brazil, like, now what I want to talk about is, like, if you guys look at the Brazil economy, look, they have 66 and they're in chaos, guys. So all these other countries are in chaos too, and the shit's gonna hit the fan very soon. No, it doesn't matter that it may not hit the fan in America, but if, for example, Germany hits the fan and France hits the fan and Great Britain, it's gonna all spill over, because they're all pegged by the US dollar, okay. So it's kind of like the foundation, so the whole thing's gonna spill over, okay. Now I want you to look at, like, Russia. Like, you know, they're only getting in debt 11%, so they're like producing like 99% or 89%. I'm sorry, 89%. Okay. Look at China, 19%. So they're producing 80% and getting in debt 20%, in a sense. Like, so, like, they produce more than they take in. All right. And all the other ones, like you can see, they're just going into debt. So all these major economies are linked together like a domino effect. And if one falls and then the other one falls, it's going to tremble back to America, guys. And that's why I say that the real estate and the economy crash is already here, and we'll see it very, very soon. And it has a great opportunity for us to make a shitload of money, guys. So stay tuned. I'll show you how to make a shitload of money, because if you like to follow what I'm going to do, okay? Now, the other thing I want to talk about, which is very, very important, okay, which is the point number 3, is that many Americans are underemployed, okay, which means they're getting underpaid, all right? And now you can see here, guys, this section here is underpaid rate. So in the construction service, 36% of the people are getting underpaid. Wow, guys, 36%, okay? In the nutritional sciences, almost 51% of the people, okay, are getting underpaid. That is such a lot, because if you consider the unemployment rate, this is not the employment rate, guys, and I don't believe these unemployment rates that they have here is way higher, because they have funny math. The Federal Reserve, this is the Federal Reserve of New York. You can look at it themselves. This is from their website. But let's not even talk about the unemployment rate. Let's just talk about underemployment underemployed, which means they're getting paid a lot less. What does that mean? Somebody went to college 4 or 5 years, racked up 30 to 50 grand, and now they're working at Starbucks, or they're waiting tables, or they're working at a job where they should be getting 50 and that they're only getting 35. Okay, and that's why the consumer debt was so high on point, the last point, guys. Okay. All right, so let's go down, look at some of this stuff. Like if you work in a child education, you're getting underpaid. 22%, you have 23% chance of getting underpaid. Secondary education, if you're a nurse, you have 13% chance of getting underpaid. Like if the pay is 100, you have this much chance of not getting that. Okay, nursing, education, civil engineering, guys, almost 20%. Family and consumer science, almost 45%, dude. If you're in marketing, almost 55% of the people that graduate are going to get paid way less than they're worth, guys. If you're in advertisement, I mean, can you think about why? Facebook, Google side ads, they're just kicking ass, guys. The Yellow Pages is over. Okay, if you're in business, okay, if you're an engineer, if you're a mechanic, you can just see that. I mean, and the list is crazy. If you're in the animal plant science, biologists, treatment, accountants, guys, miscellaneous technologies, guys. I mean, there's not one aspect that's not being affected by this, guys. If you're a philosopher, some of these guys, medical technician, if you're in business management, guys, if you're in business management, you have a 60% chance of getting underpaid. You're worth, let's say 50, they give you only 30, guys. So can you see why I say fuck a job and fuck a stinky banker? General sciences, I mean, guys, so the crazy point is unemployment is uncrazy. So many people are getting underpaid, okay, in so many different industries. I just showed you from the Federal Reserve, guys, okay? I'm not pulling this shit out of my ass, all right? And that's why we have so much consumer debt, okay? Now, why is all these signs of crash coming? And I'm going to be explaining to you. So now let's go to the next idea, guys. Now, the next idea is that let's talk about inflation. Now, inflation is all-time high. Now, many people talk about inflation as 1%, 2%, but I always like to talk about inflation according to the cost of a fucking stamp, because I do a lot of mail-outs. I love direct mail marketing, and guys, but if you just look at the cost of a stamp, and this is according to the United States Postal Service. I don't know if you guys can see at the bottom right here. Look at it, guys. It's just like gone like this, and it just skyrocketed, dude. Skyrocketed. Just like this is 2000. Just like now it's 50 cents. Okay, so to me, a good indication of indicator of how much inflation is. I just look at the stamp prices. I mean, it's very easy to see that they're jacking it up on a weekly basis. So what does this mean? Inflation means that there's a hidden tax on the people, on you, and your purchasing power is getting less and less. So let's add this up, guys. Most of us that have jobs are getting paid under than what we're worth. Okay, so again, we're getting paid, if we're worth 50, they're paying us 30. Okay, on top of that, they're robbing us through the inflation, which is a hidden tax, which means that today with $10 you may be able to go to groceries and purchase 3 items. Next year, with the same exact $10, you go to the grocery, but you could only purchase 2 items. So not only are the American people getting underpaid, not only are they getting robbed by a second tax, which decreases their buying power, they're also getting into debt left and right. And then the majority of the debt is mortgage, guys, which is why I love being a real estate investor, okay? And everyone right now is doing deals, right? The market is hot. Everyone's doing deals. You see everybody on Facebook. You see everybody on YouTube. There's so many people popping up teaching classes. There's so many people that just do 1 or 2 deals. Now they're trying to recruit other people. And it's really easy to do deal right now. This is 2007. Fourth quarter is easy to do deals, okay? Anybody that says they're not, because they're just fucking lazy and they're not taking action. Okay, but the crash is coming, guys. I mean, and when that crash comes, all these people that have borrowed all this money, all right, they're going to be in trouble. Okay, now let's talk about. Okay, now we talked about the inflation. We talked about that people are getting underpaid. We talked about the power punch of the petrodollar. Now, let's talk about, we also talked about the debt. Now, let's talk about another sign why the bubble of real estate and the economy crash is already here, okay? Let's talk about some of the bubbles right now. We have stock all-time high, bubble. Real estate, all-time high, bubble, okay? Bonds, all-time high, bubble. Bitcoins, all-time high, bubble. Now, guys, I believe Bitcoins is the future, right? Or cyber currency, it might not be Bitcoins, but the way it's going, blockchain technology. However, you know it's a bubble when everyone and their mama is talking about Bitcoins. You know it's a bubble when everyone and their mama is on Facebook talking about, you know, you can invest with them or they're trying to do training. You know, when there's too many people talking about how great it is, then they already missed the boat. So, of course, there's a bubble. Now, debt is at all-time high. Interest is at all-time low, guys. And not only the consumer debt, but the government debt. Not only in America, but all the major evolving countries are fully in debt, and even third world countries, guys. So there's for sure a bubble, and it's busting right now, guys. It's busting right now, but it's very, very slow, so it's going to take a minute for it to germinate. And I think that it's already here, okay? It's not going to happen in the future. It's already happening, you know, and in the next few months, it's just going to slowly but surely increase its germination process of getting the patient ill, which is the economy, guys. And more than likely, it's going to be a worldwide crash. It's just not going to be a local crash. It may be the American economy crashes and then spills over to the other countries like France and Germany, everyone that has their money pegged by us. Or it can be the other smaller companies like France and Germany, Great Britain, they crash and they spill over and take America's economy down because it's all based on fiat dollars, okay? Now, the other thing I want to talk about, guys, is that, you know, with the hurricane that just happened, there's major amount of people defaulting and banks losing money, okay? And people losing their homes. So let's take a look at this, okay? Okay, NBC says Harvey hits the mortgage could be 4 times worse than is predicted, okay? All right, so what does that mean? It means that a lot of people are defaulting. Majority of the people didn't have insurance. You know, I read, I think I have it here, that only 20%, here we go, 20%, and this is the USA Today, 20% of Harvey victims had flood insurance, okay? So what does that mean? Well, what's going to happen to all these people that are going to default in their property, okay? What's going to happen? I mean, FHS has to bail a bunch of them out, and but the banks have to take a hit. What's going to happen, okay? So those are some questions you have to ask yourself that, okay, we had Florida, we had Texas, all these people are going to default, thousands of millions of dollars, trillions of dollars got damaged. Majority of people didn't have insurance, okay? Who's going to pay for all that, okay? And the National Flood Insurance Program was already billions of dollars in debt before Harvey and the other hurricane hit. So they were already behind in debt, guys. So let's roll back the story again. So the insurance companies in debt. Thousands of people are defaulting on their mortgages in the South, which means it's going to cause a lot of auctions, a whole new flood of inventory coming in. People are totally in debt. Okay, the government is in debt. We have bubbles everywhere. We have inflation going crazy. People are getting paid, underpaid, underemployed, and the petrodollar is at the breaking, guys. And now let's also talk about the next point, and another sign why is very crazy out there because of the lending, guys. Now, I talked about 2 new laws that had passed that's going to definitely guarantee the crash a couple of months ago. And one of them I'm going to talk about briefly here is that because so many people have student debt, okay, I showed you people with masters, PhDs, associates, that have so much debt they cannot qualify to get a loan. So, you know, the bankers, the Federal Reserve, all these people, FHA, all these people changed their regulation, right? Changed the laws to make the debt to income ratio, they changed that to eliminate the student loans. Okay, because when you included the student debt into the borrower's application, they wouldn't qualify to get a loan, and so many people couldn't get a loan. And so for because the economy is in a crash the way it is, right? That's coming. They're changing the borrowing structure to make it so much easier for any schmo to borrow money now. Okay, now if you remember 2007 fourth quarter, they were giving money to anybody that could fog a mirror, and the same thing's starting to happen, guys. Not only with the FHA loans, but if you listen right now, all the advertisement says, "Hey, do you want to borrow money? You know, your business has been pre-approved." They're letting people borrow money with business. They're letting people, borrow money with cars. And they're doing higher levels of what is it called? Cash for titles, payday loans. You listen to the radio, you listen to everywhere, guys. Like, FHA's, just so easy. They're making it so easy to borrow money. And if you guys remember, the last crash, that was one of the major cause of the crash, guys. Okay, this is so new regulations is one, and then loose lending, guys. Okay, now let's talk about one of the other major reasons why the economy is crashing is that online businesses are just killing old businesses, and they're also killing the job pool, and people are outsourcing. So again, online businesses are killing the old Fortune 500 companies. Let me give you some examples, like Blockbuster, gone. Compaq, gone. Enron, gone. MCI, gone. Radio Shack, gone. Soon to be gone. Sears, JCPenney's. Now, who's taking over, guys? Amazon. Amazon's taking over, guys. Who's taking over? Uber. Uber's taking over. Who's taking over? Airbnb, okay? So these guys are not only putting out the old businesses, but they're also killing the job pool, okay? What do I mean? By Airbnb coming in, they're killing the hotel industry. So now all the people that were employed, at the hotel industry, the clerks, the busboys, they're getting hurt. Well, same thing with Uber. Uber's coming in, it's putting out the taxi business, the people that answer the calls, that route the calls, the people that wrap the taxis. They're all getting affected because an Uber driver doesn't get their car wrapped like a taxi driver, and etc. Okay, the insurance companies are not collecting as high as insurance as commercial policies versus somebody has my own car. They're not gonna tell the Uber or whatever. So you can see that these businesses, not only are the new businesses are putting out the big kings, okay? And if you can Google this yourself, guys, 88% of all the Fortune 500 companies that were alive in the 70s are not here anymore, okay? 88%, guys. So these companies like Amazon, Airbnb, Uber are killing the old businesses, killing the job sites. And remember, the job positioning is what the consumers need, okay? So the more job they kill, the less money people have to consume. And people are already getting underpaid. That's why I showed you before the unemployment, how people are getting 50% less than what they should be getting, okay? Or they're getting, so many people are getting so much less money than they should be getting, okay? Now, when you cope it up with these new technologies, this is going to add into the crash that's already here. I mean, Amazon's putting so many businesses out. And these are the ones I just mentioned are Fortune 500. I didn't talk about any of the mom and pop businesses that are going out of business, okay? Now, these infrastructures are also creating opportunity. Like, I was able to write a book and put it on Amazon and get it on the top 20 list for a couple of days, okay? I would never been able to do that without Amazon. To A, write a book, and B, get it out there without publishers. So they also create opportunities. Now, you guys are sitting here thinking I'm just crying, it's a great opportunity. Thanks to these technologies, the big power is going to be eliminated, and little guys like me and you can come in and win. The power shift is happening, and that's why I'm making this whole video, is that the crash is coming, and it's great news for me. And I hope it's great news for a lot of you guys. And I'm very sad some people are going to lose their money, like these people that are thinking that real estate's going up, okay? Now, real estate people are going up. For example, I've been in Las Vegas. I've been heavily marketing the past week, and I've talked to a lot of people, And let me give you some examples. I met a guy that just bought a house like in May. He bought a 1-bedroom condo, and now he's selling for 51. He bought it for 30. He's selling for 51. So there's appreciation like that. Okay. I met another guy that bought a house, actually a mobile home, in a nice part of town, Boulder, Las Vegas, and now property's going up. The guy could get at least 180 to 200 for it. Okay, and he hasn't even lived in it for more than a year. So there's massive appreciation happening everywhere, which is another reason why there's signs of bubbles. I mean, you just can't appreciate 20%, 15%, 30% in less than a year, guys. I mean, just too much appreciation, and which is the cause of the bubble, guys. Okay, all right, guys. Let's talk about the next sign that the depression, the bubble's already busting, and we're heading towards a depression already. Is that most people in America don't have $500 in their saving account, guys. So once people start losing their job because of automation, like Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, and since they're already are getting paid such a less, they're underemployed, and since they have so much debt, what do you think is going to happen when they get squeezed? What do you think the first thing is? They're not going to be able to make their payments anymore, guys. And so since most people don't have that much money in their savings, they don't have much room for a comfort zone. So when they get punched in the face, which is coming, it's already happening, they have no other choice but to default. And this is where it gets really, really great for me and you guys, okay? Because all this time I just talked about all the gloom, like most people don't have the money in their banking account, the online businesses are putting out all these businesses because of there's loose lending practices. Anybody's basically been able to borrow money or refinance or get apartment complexes. There's major debts with the consumer, with the government. We talked about there's major bubbles, okay, in stocks, real estate, interest is all-time low, bonds all-time high, etc. We talked about the new laws. We talked about the petrodollar. We talked about unemployment. We talked about inflation. Now, all this was the climax for me to explain to you guys that why real estate is going to be making me and hopefully you guys a lot of money when the crash finally explodes, because it's already here, but it's just taking a few minutes for it to incubate, okay? So when the crash comes, I don't know if you guys remember the debt ratio or the debt that people had was majority mortgages. When this thing happens, it's going to make a great opportunity for you and me to buy real estate with no money down, to take over payments, to buy homes with $1 down or $10, or to buy homes 60 cents on a dollar, or do short sales and go negotiate with the bank and get it for a lot less because the bank can't have any more properties because they're piled up on foreclosures. People are foreclosing, so it's going to be a great opportunity for you guys, okay? Now, what should you guys do? Right now, the economy is so easy to do a deal. So if you're new, you haven't done deals, you should highly jump in here and start doing deals now to practice, okay? And if you're pro, you have to start learning to do owner financing deals and doing term deals and doing creative financing deals and getting practice, because it's so easy to do it now. But when the time comes, when the crash comes, it's going to be a subject to heaven. It's going to be creative financing heaven, owner financing heaven. And if you don't have the skills at that time to do this, then you're not going to have success to get those kind of deals, guys. And at that time, there's going to be so many people that have lost their home. There's not going to be much equity deals where you can buy 60 cents on a dollar. They'll be out there, but the market is falling. People have lost money in their stocks. So they're probably not going to want to sell it at that price because they don't have it, so you have to do a short sell, okay? However, you can go in there and just pick up properties for nothing down, or just $1,000, or just make back payments, or give cash for keys and just take over these crazy low interest rates. Like people have 3%, 4% interest rates on 30-year mortgages, and you can just take over. And all these homes are going to be losing their homes, which means they're going to now need to have a place to rent, and rents are going to go all the way up. So I'm just going to buy these properties subject to just take over their payments, okay? And strategy is what I call in my mother course. So guys, if you're new and you haven't done deals, you need to download my mother course, Not because you can do deals today. Everyone and their mama can do deals today. It's not that hard, okay? Because what's going to happen in the future, very soon coming. And if you learn all the skills that I teach you in my mother course, like sales, negotiation, how to talk to a seller, how to do subject twos, how to do wraps. I mean, guys, this course is 171 hours, and I talk about all the stuff that you can imagine. Like we talk about how to fund them, how to fund the deals, how to do owner financing, subject twos, guys, how to do wholesaling, fix and flips, master leases. We talk about how to invest with lean investing, guys. We talk about who's your target audience, landlording. Okay, it's very important. Transaction closing, guys. We talk about prospecting, marketing, cold calling, door knocking, guys. I mean, it goes on and on. And if you have how to give offers, how to negotiate owner financing, because in the next crash, it's going to be a subject to heaven, guys, and owner financing heaven. In the last crash, 2007, fourth quarter, I can't tell you how many properties I bought by just giving $1,000 to the seller, or just not giving them anything, just taking over their payments, or having them pay me to take over their payments because they knew they were upside down and they were willing to give me $5,000 just to take over their payments. So it's going to be a great opportunity, guys, and I highly recommend it if you're new. Or if you're pro and you haven't done any owner financing. If you're pro, you don't know how to do owner financing, you don't know how to do wraps, go ahead and download my mother course. It's over 100 hours of training, and I show you exactly what to do. Not only can you get deals today, but this is not the important thing. I'm not doing a whole lot of deals today because everyone and their mama is doing deals, right? So I'm just stacking my money. I invest a lot in gold. And then when the crash comes, I'm going to cash out my gold and I'm going to go buy properties when everyone and their mama is going left because they're running out of the fire. I'm going to go right, just like I did in 2007, fourth quarter. There was all the properties that I ascertained, okay? Majority were subject to, which is owner financing. I only took over the payments and I put maybe $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000 towards the seller, towards the closing, all of it. And then I ended up making each property $100,000 plus, guys. That included equity cash out and monthly payments, ladies and gentlemen. So imagine just giving a seller $2,000 or $3,000 because there are two payments behind and you have to pay a closing cost for another $1,000, and you're $3,000 in, and that property gives you a cash flow of $300 a month, and you cash it out. You know, $300 times, let's say 10, that's $3,000 a month for 5 years. That's, $15,000 from passive cash flow. I didn't include the 2 months for vacancies and shit like that. And then you ended up cashing it out and making $60,000, $70,000 or $50,000, depends on where you are in the situation, in equity cash out, because meanwhile, when you were renting out, the renters were paying off the debt, okay? And the market came up. Okay, so as you can see, if you're a pro, you need to learn to negotiate owner financing. And if you're a new investor, you definitely need to get my mother course because it helps you to learn the whole aspect of the business, and it saves you thousands of dollars, guys. But more importantly, okay, it allows you to do deals today, okay, which you can make good money, but you're going to get wealthy. The power change, the wealth change is going to happen in the next crash, which is what I want everyone to participate. That's where I'm going to get in and make a lot of money, is on the crash side, guys, when everybody and their mama is running out. Now, I have great news for you guys. With my mother course, okay, I am giving you guys free coaching. I am so confident this product's going to work for you that I am willing to waive my $25,000 coaching fee. Okay, waive it. You guys can see right here, I charge $25,000. Many people have paid me right here, guys. Okay, you can read about it. I'll waive that because I'm so confident in my product for 2 reasons. That one, I'm confident, and 2, I want to prep you guys. I want to get you ready for the crash, because when the crash comes, I want to buy your properties. I want you to know how to negotiate these deals that I like. I like to negotiate these deals with no money down or very low amount of money, where we get non-recourse loans and we don't have to go to a bank and we don't have to put our credit up. And I want to teach you guys and train you guys how to prep yourself up so when the next crash comes, you guys know how to get these deals. The ones you want, you keep it for yourself, and the ones you don't want, you bring it to me, right? Because I helped you guys, and so I can buy it from you. So again, I'm going to put my action where my mouth is, that I am so confident in my mother course that it works, that I'm going to work for free for you guys. I'm going to waive my $25,000 coaching fee, okay? For anyone that buys my mother course, I will help you do your first check, okay? Totally for free for coaching, okay? All you got to do is 3 requirements if you want to get the coaching. One is you got to give me a shout out. That means when I help you get your check, you got to give Mike a shout out, say I helped you. If you're not willing to do that, sorry, I can't help you out, okay? Number 2 is that you have to invest in my mother course, which is the foundation of this business. I talk about everything of this business, and I even get advanced with it. That way you know what to do. You know how to go find the sellers. You know how to talk to them. You know how to negotiate. You got to know how to structure it, okay? And to activate the coaching is you have to have a fish on the line. What does that mean? You have to have a motivated seller that you're talking to. You have to have them live on the line, and you have to fill out my seller phone script and send it to my office line. Okay, you can find it at my website right here. This is our office line, and send it to our office line so we can help you and coach you totally for free, like he had paid us at $25,000. Now, there's no catches. I don't want any of your profits. When I help you do this deal, you keep 100% of your check. I don't want any of it, guys. I don't want any of your assignment fee, any of it. This is all your money. My goal is that I want to help you get your first deal, okay? And I want to help you and help me learn the business so when the crash comes, you guys can do this and bring me the deals. I can buy the deals. And if you have deals right now, I'm happy to buy them too. But as you know, the crash is going to be so creamy, guys, so creamy, okay? So now, simply put, anyone that invests in my mother course, I'm willing to help you do your first deal, waive my coaching fee, because I'm very confident that my product works and I want to put my action behind my words. And 2, I am very confident that if I help you make money, that you'll bring the deals to me, especially today, but more importantly, when the crash comes, guys. All right, guys. Now, this sums up what we talked about, the 10, 11 signs of the real estate and the economy bubble is already busting, and how you can profit from it. You can profit from it from downloading my mother course, learning the business, taking action, finding the seller, texting me, and let me help you structure the deal. Let me help you with anything you need to get your first check, okay? And for all the guys that are pros that don't need their help with the first check, majority of you guys reach out to me and submit deals, and you don't know how to negotiate owner financing. So get my mother course. We teach you how to do that. And be ready, guys, pros, beginners, medium, and champs. Be ready for the crash, guys. Be ready for the crash. Majority of you guys are going to lose money, but majority of you guys are going to make money. Everyone that's been buying a shitload of properties now, you're probably going to be hurting, okay, when the crash comes, especially if you're a fix and flipper and the market changes on you. But for the guys that have been patient like myself, that's been doing their due diligence and been racking up your money, when the crash comes, it's going to be a party fest, and I salute you guys for being patient, okay? Go hustle and bustle. Don't forget to download the mother course. I will change your life, and I won't let you down. See you later, gang.